Come one, come all, it's this Boxing Day version of the Monkey Nut Punch broadcast. And I'm safely say that this broadcast is 100% coof free. Yeah, I haven't been around because I had the coof. I'll tell you one thing. It's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be. I don't even know what version I had. I don't know if I had the fucking Kappa Epsilon Xi version or the fucking Unicron version. So
you've been double jabbed though, haven't you?
Megatron. So, there's a Megatron coming.
I've been double jabbed. Yeah, I'm not saying my jab didn't help.
It's meant to help. That's all it's meant to do. It's not meant to make you immune. It's meant to assist your recovery and not get a better or worse version of it.
And because of that, the word vaccine should be dropped.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a vaccine. It's not a vaccine.
Because it's not a vaccine. And I know that because I got it. I spent the entire time sleeping in here playing Halo Infinite. And I completed that.
Is it any good?
And I've no. It's Cortana's been turned into children's TV presenter. It's Far Cry. It's a Halo Far Cry. I think is the best way of describing it. Oh, in the beginning, it seems like a rip-off of Destiny 2. It literally is like a rip-off of Destiny 2, but instead of getting thrown off a ship, you get thrown out of airlock. Yeah, it really does. And you've got the guy, he won't fucking shut up either, is the other thing too. So I'm
really
like,
worried. We're coming. Oh, can you hurry up? Oh, can you get back here?
Do you know what? We'll talk about Halo Infinite later.
Can I do it? Because there's somebody in the chat. Can I do it? Can I do it?
Go on then.
Hello, Dave.
I missed that, Dave.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Dave. Hope you're doing fine.
Not seen him in a long while.
Yes, we haven't seen you in a long while. It's good to have you in. Anyway, got some films to talk about because there've been films released. One really popular film, film, and then there was the last episode of The Expanse, which was awesome. I think it's gonna be good. So
before we get into anything, can I just acknowledge your hat, please, Gareth?
My hat.
It's the first time I've seen a Monkey Nut Punch hat or cap.
Yes, it's a Monkey Nut Punch hat. Yes. My wife got it for me for Christmas. She said, "You're always wearing a hat on stream because your hair's always a bloody mess." And I'm not top lit, so it's not as bad. So yeah, it's a good one. So yeah, we're going to talk about Spider-Man. So if you haven't seen Spider-Man, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's going to get spoiled. I had it spoiled for me, but it's still bloody enjoyable. I'll be honest with you. So Nige, a choice of headphones on or headphones off for this section.
Oh, that is a big choice. Do I want to be surprised or want... Do you know what? Yeah, wave at me because I'm going to watch it in the next few days.
All right then. Okay, I'm probably going to see it again in the next few days. So, because it was that good. Seriously, it was that good. I enjoyed the hell out of it. But as a film, when you step back from it, it might not be as good as you think it is. But just having something that's fun and entertaining is a fucking novelty that doesn't try and preach any kind of politics to you. And because of that, it's great.
From what I want to know before I go and watch the film, it's got all three Spideys in it, yeah? All three.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. So, and they see each other, interact with each other. It's not like, oh, we're here and then we're over here, and they never see each other. And
no,
just...
very much.
It's literally
very much. So.
It's the 3X structure goes like this: Spider-Man, Spider-Man and villains from another universe, Spider-Man and Spider-Men. That's it. That's literally that's how you can spot the act changes. It's because those bits change over, and it was done.
If you're a fan of any of these three Spider-Man, you will come out with a big bloody smile on your face.
So we watched the other day. My eldest has gone and seen this film with his mates before I've managed to get down there, which, you know, is standard. But he came back and he can't wait to talk about the film. And he must have really liked it. And he was never really big into the previous ones, although he likes the Tom Holland ones. And I got him to watch the first Tobey Maguire film, which I really do like because I like his nerdy Peter Parker. And he's pretty good as Spider-Man. And just recently, this past few days, we watched the first Andrew Garfield one with the lizard man.
The good one of the two Andrew Garfield ones, if there is. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I didn't like his Peter Parker because he was too cool.
Yes.
I didn't mind his Spidey. His
I
Spidey
think
was
you will,
except
and
for the fact he relies on tech rather
I will
than.
say that I will say this.
Nigel's got exactly the problem I had with the Amazing Spider-Man film. Peter Parker is not cool. Yeah, no. Spider-Man, because he gets to put the mask on, he pretends to be someone else. Yeah, kind of lets it out. He's cockier. He's a bit like a fucking like wrestlers are when they get in the ring. Yeah, it's kind of like that, where he kind of puts on the whole thing, and that's the thing with the Peter Parker is he's a nerd. He does have trouble talking to people. He does invest his time in stuff that people don't care about because Peter Parker is near genius level kind of intellect.
But you have to say Andrew Garfield is the only real Spider-Man fan out of all three of them. I mean, he genuinely loves Spider-Man. And
do you know? Well,
I will tell you this: for most people who didn't like Andrew Garfield have come out of this movie liking Andrew Garfield.
I've heard this.
I would totally agree with it, and I'm not going to spoil it for you because there is a scene that had I was crying. I'm not going to lie, I was crying.
You know, there are bits I like about it. Actually, I think there's a sweet spot with Tom playing Peter and Spidey. I think he's sort of like the good halfway house between the two. He's not quite as nerdy as what Tobey Maguire was, but then his Spidey is better than Tobey's. And then I think he's sort of better as Peter as Van Andrew was, So I think not Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland's Spidey and Peter Parker is like straight down the middle.
I want to make a comment, but I need to reference the third film. But you've made some really good points. You've made some really good points. But my problem with the Tom Holland Spider-Man is that Spider-Man was all about consequences. Everything went. Spider-Man was pretty much a tragic character. Everything would go fucking wrong for him. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Look at Uncle Ben.
It's like he told Gwen Stacy's dad, who he was, and then he gets killed by a bloody chimney stack by Doc Ock in the comics. This is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say
but he gets killed. He gets killed with the lizard in the other one. Yeah. So they've kind of redid that. Yeah. And then you've got the fact that Gwen Stacy then cops it. The fact that Aunt May is like, and she kind of knows, she doesn't know. She thinks Spider-Man's like kind of evil. She's not too keen on him doing all this stuff, that sort of bits. And then there's other things that he has because it's always the world is always against Spider-Man. And then he has these little moments where he saves a load of people, and the police and the fire brigade and the crowd are outside, like fucking go, yeah, go Spider-Man, yeah. Even though everything he reads in the news is Spider-Man's an asshole. Thank you, J. Jonah Jameson. And the other thing too is, it's like the J. Jonah Jameson character's a great character because if you watch in the Tobey Maguire ones, J. Jonah Jameson in that is he has this bravado that you see, and he comes across as an arsehole, but when the chips are down, he's a really good guy. So, for example, there's a bit where the Green Goblin breaks into the Daily Bugle and asks who takes the pictures of Spider-Man. And J. Jonah lies through his fucking teeth. Tells because like, no, who takes the pictures of Spider-Man? Because he wants to keep Peter Parker safe. Because when the chips are down, he's a good guy. Yeah, he's had some because J. Jonah Jameson has had a horrible fucking tragedy revolving around his wife and kid getting murdered by a man in a mask. Yeah, he doesn't like people in masks. Yeah, he's really out for them because that's not how he kind of sees the world. And then there's another bit in the second one where Parker's like down on his luck. He's got no money or anything. Comes into the office. He asks for more money. And he says no. And he says no. And anyway, he goes out the thingy, and Betty Brant, or whatever her name, looks to him, and he turns around and goes, give him the money. Yeah. And it's like, dude's a good dude. Underneath, the guy's a really good guy. Yeah. The problem is he doesn't. Yeah. And the fact they got Aussie Smush in there. It's going to be. I need to talk about the film, Nigel.
We need to. Nigel, take off your headphones. Although I will say this. I will say this.
Yeah,
I will say this.
I just wanted to say that about the three Spiders. I was just wondering how they all.
really well.
I will say this before you take
the
your
high
headphones off.
fiving, and they're doing the pointing thing at each other. You're Spider, no, I'm Spider. You know, is that
They
what
actually
they were
do that. They
Yeah,
do
they do.
that for a
Like the
frame
meme.
because I've seen it on Instagram.
They do the
There
meme.
is there is a lot of fan service in this film, but not in a bad way.
Cool.
Hollywood do not subvert the expectations. They pay service to the fans, and every single bit worked for me. Now I need to talk about it, so take your headphones off.
Yes, we need to talk about it.
I will be back shortly. You guys carry on.
Right, you know
All
my
right.
biggest problem with the first
Right,
Spider-Man movie, right?
Right, hang
I
on a
have
second.
to say this. Go on.
Go on then.
The bit where Defoe smashes the goblin mask, the whole cinema cheered. I've never been to a cinema in Thailand where they cheer. They smash the mask. And I was like,
I'm going to be completely honest with you. He looks like the Green Goblin without the mask.
exactly. But that's what I said to you. I've been saying this for 20 fucking years. Why did they cover up William Defoe's face? He looks like the goddamn goblin.
Can I just put something in there? Just there's one throwaway line from Ned. I didn't realize Ned's surname was Ned Leeds.
Yeah,
I thought he was Genki from Ultimate Spider-Man, but when I found out his surname was Leeds, I was like, "Isn't that a hobgoblin?" Because there's a bit where he turns around and goes, "I won't tell you to turn evil and fight you," and it's like, "You're Ned Leeds." Yeah, that was good. So let's break it into sections. Yeah, let's do the first bit where you got Spider-Man on his own, and he's everything's gone to shit before the bad guys turn for the multiverse bad guys turn up. That was probably the size bit of the film, but there's some great setups in there. Charlie Cox as he's in his house.
Awesome.
That made me go, "Oh!" My son was sitting next to me. Goes, "That's Daredevil, isn't it?" Because yeah, is he going to be in the film? Just about this bit, really.
I didn't know about that because I desperately tried to avoid spoilers, and my wife was sitting next to me, and the way the camera focuses on the stick, I went, "Oh!" like that. I immediately knew because I'd heard the rumor, but I didn't know it was for sure. And the minute you see the stick come down, I was like, I got really excited. Len was like, "What?" And it was like, yeah, that's cool. Okay, fine, brilliant. Bring him back. And I love the bit where he catches the thing and Peter looks at him and goes, "How did you do that?" "I'm a really good lawyer."
That was one of my favorite cameras. I wish you would have turned up towards the end and helped out.
Yeah, I know, but that
was good. The whole him being discovered and whatnot. You can understand how it was getting to him. Flash Thompson had a poke at the fucking DC EU with his book Flashpoint.
Yeah,
talking about multiverses, and I've got a book called Flashpoint. I'm not saying anything DC, but we got our film out first. That got me. That really got me because I was just like, that was really entertaining because I just saw that little poke there, and then it was just trying to sort all the stuff out and bits, and the bit where he goes to Stephen Strange and he's like, kind of, "So you've spoken to them to see if they can change their decision?" He went, "No, you can do that. So you've asked me to do a catastrophic spell to brainwash the entire planet for them not to know who you are, and you haven't bothered asking if you could have a second chance." That made me giggle. Strange wasn't quite Stephen Strange in this. That was probably my biggest problem, is that Stephen Strange wasn't where he should have been.
I think there is a reason for that. Now, you see, I was going to talk about this later on. I've heard a rumor, and I think it's true. Who is directing the next Stephen Strange film?
It's this guy, isn't it? Watts, or his name is?
Nope.
No, it's Raimi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's another. Apparently, Tobey Maguire has filmed more than one film.
Ah.
I don't know with the Stephen Strange thing, but they're playing on that. There is a reason for that.
Okay. That was, yeah. And the Wong being the Sorcerer Supreme kind of defaulted to me when you left. I'm like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Stephen Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme and just leave it at that.
Again, I think that's on purpose. And I think we're going to see the ramifications of that in the next movie. I think he was off kilter for a reason. He hasn't got the time stone, which they made a point of. They put a Doctor Strange 2 trailer at the end of this movie.
Yes, it did.
There is a big rumor that Tobey Maguire is going to make a cameo in the multiverse again, which will be awesome. And there's even a rumor that he's getting a new movie, as in Sony is actively making other Spider-Man movies. I have a theory as exactly what they're going to do with Spider-Man 4 because of a line that was made by Electro. I think I know exactly what they're going to do in Spider-Man 4.
What, introduce Miles Morales?
Yes, I think we're going to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man train Miles, and then the Spider-Man 5 and 6 is going to be. He needs to be on his own and vulnerable for the first film, for it to work. Second film, yes, but the first film he needs to be on his own, and you need to see him struggle like fucking crazy because that's what always made that entertaining. I think I see them because Tom Holland has sort of indicated that he doesn't want to continue playing it. Amy Pascal, the Sony thing, has already actively announced.
Tom Holland indicated that he wants more money. That's what he's indicated. I might not. $2 billion. I don't know if I feel like doing another Spider-Man film.
But based on the MCU and Peter Parker, the only problem I had in this entire movie was Peter Parker apologizing for being white. That was my only problem with it. He apologizes to Electra when Electro turns around and goes, "Being from Queens, I would have thought you were black." And Peter goes, "Yeah, sorry," which was, a lie. I was like,
okay, I didn't see that as that. As like kind of didn't meet your expectations because that's what he kind of set all the way through the thingy. That I'm not because that was Garfield's one, was the fact that he wasn't meeting everyone's expectations.
I saw that as the fact that they made a heavy thing of a Black Spider-Man comment. And the fact that really, Peter apologized for. I mean, I've said this all along that actually I think they should have gone with Miles Morales right from the offset in the MCU because they had that opportunity with just literally 3 years ago seeing another Peter Parker. They could have gone with Miles Morales and it would have made perfect sense. It wouldn't have looked all woke. It would have looked like, well, they're going with a different.
But you have to remember that Sony control all the rights to Spider-Man as long as they keep making films.
But I think in this, I think Spider-Man's 4, 5, and 6 are going to be. I think I know what they're going to do. They're going to allow Peter to get his MJ back, and then I think they're going to go with Miles Morales. Now you might have a Spider-Man 4 where he gets her back, and then they do what they do in the game where you have Miles Morales kind of helping out in the background, and then like the game. At the end, he jumps up on the stairs, which is a great scene in the game. I love that scene at the end of the game. And I think that's what's going to happen. But I mean, before carry on breaking the movie down, because I want to get what you think at the end of it.
We'll move into the second part when all the villains turn up. So he does the what do you call it? Does the spell? It goes wrong, and then all of a sudden you get that bit where he's on the bridge, and it's like something's tearing up all the cars, and then it's like Doc Ock's tentacles come out, and then you're like, it's Doc Ock, like you saw in the trailer, but done really well. And then they get into a fight, and he's like, "Kind of, you're not my Peter Parker," blah blah blah. And they're like having a good old punch up, and then he rips off a bit of his suit, which then infects his arms. That was quite good. It kind of made sense too, because it was like kind of this nanotech stuff.
Alfred Molina was brilliant. I mean, although, he was digitally de-aged in this, but it was just Doc Ock straight away, back into the character.
I love the interview with Alfred Molina where it goes, it's like kind of a chance to play this character again, and they get to Alfred Molina goes, they offered me a shit ton of cash. I love the honesty, but they offered me a shit ton of cash. But I'm a professional, so I you give me the money, I'll do the part.
And he did.
And he did.
He is the best live action Spider-Man baddie. And seeing him back again, and having that there was just so much service in this film. Like, you know, Peter curing him. I did not stop smiling in this film. Everything, all of the issues, all the problems that I've had with the Spider-Man films over the years, they fixed it. They actually fixed it. They smashed up the bloody mask, because that has always been my biggest bet. You know, with the facial emotions that William Dafoe has, it was criminal to cover up his face.
That's the other thing too. Right. This is the other thing too. Is everyone turns around and says that Andrew Garfield was the best in this film. I think William Dafoe was the best in this film. The only reason you don't want to say the reason you don't want to say he's the best is because he was the fucking nastiest. Yeah, he was so cruel. Yeah, you can't really reward him for it. Where Andrew Garfield character was the nice one, and you kind of want to reward the nice one. But as a character standout, he as the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn were fantastic. That was the bit that got me. Was when he turns up at the food shelter place, and he's chatting away to Aunt May, and he's like kind of went home and my house doesn't exist, my family doesn't exist, this, that, the other, and you kind of start feeling for him, and then he turns into an arsehole, real arsehole, and it's glorious because it's like kind of, you don't trust the Green Goblin. It's not one of the people you kind of you could stand by. That was great, and then they had the fights where they were trying to get him in there. Flint Marko's character was a bit on the weird side. I found Flint Marko's character a little on the weird side because he was helping, and then all of a sudden he's just stopped.
Yeah, but he was like that in Spider-Man 3. That's what made that film so disjointed. They just kind of carried over the character. I mean, I don't quite understand why they brought Sandman back. I mean, you had Toby's two big crooks. I don't quite get why they put Sandman in there. That didn't. I'm not entirely sure he was necessary. But again, you had to put the Lizard in there because you had to have equal amount of Andrew Garfield's baddies, and you only had two, and you weren't going to put Paul Gambit, whatever his name is, in a great big mechanical rhinoceros suit. That wasn't going to work. Again, I'm pretty damn sure that Jamie, what's his face, as Electro, had it that he wouldn't be blue in this movie because, again, they made a big deal of him turning non-blue, and he's made a big deal of not being blue in every interview he's gone. I think in his contract, he probably had it contracted in that he's not going to be be blue. He
looked a lot better in this one than he did in the Amazing Spider-Man.
It made sense to have him his natural color. It just makes it. I mean that. The minute Aunt May, so when he tries to get them all, and then the Goblin, sort of changes, and it all goes to shit, which we knew was going to happen. The minute May said, "With great," I went, "Oh shit, she's going to die," and I said it out loud, and Len was like, "What?" I said, "She's about to die." She's like, "Why? How do you know? How do you know?" I said, "Because she just said the fucking line." And I was like, "Now this makes sense. Now I know what they're doing." Oh shit, he's going to be Spider-Man at the end of this. It's like I know what they're going to do. They're going to make him Spider-Man. This is all of this is built up. This has been one big fucking 3-movie long origin story.
I don't like that. I just it's like when they've overdone Batman's origin story, and then the person next to Batman for origin story being overdone is then Spider-Man. So it was good.
Her dying was emotional though.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, this is probably at the moment. I need to go and see it a third time to be sure. I think this is equal pegging, if not better than Spider-Man 2. I still had issues with.
I'm gonna have to step away from it for a couple of months, and then I can make it because there is like a level of kind of this influence that it has, and everyone's all excited, everyone's all talking about it, and then you have to step back to see if it is as good as you could. It feels like it. It feels like it, but I like kind of more the self-contained kind of stories, if you know what I mean. So
I get it, but I don't know. It fixed everything for me, Gareth. It fixed all of my problems with it, and it made me fall in love with all three of them again. I mean, Tom Holland at the end of this is Spider-Man. I love they gave him the comic book costume at the end. The fact that he made his suit, I loved that. I love to see him just swinging through the thing. I'm thinking, hang on, they're putting him street level again. So you could see him with Daredevil in the next movie because he's now a street level character again. So he could be equal pegging with it. Before he was Iron Spider-Man. So, he was just so much better than Daredevil was. So Daredevil at the end wouldn't have worked. Whereas in the next movie, it might, because we've got a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And actually, Tom Holland was amazingly good in this film. I mean, his performance, I love the scene where he is intent on killing the Goblin, right? And he loses
No. We're still in step 2, and they've moved all the way to 3.
Sorry.
Okay, because it's like we got to the bit we talk about all the bad guys in there. Now we need to talk about when all the Spider-Men show up. Because it's great, because now Ned's got the old sling ring, and he kind of does the thing, and it's look, there's Peter Parker. And then Peter Parker comes through, takes his thing off. It's Andrew Garfield, and he's like,
the whole cinema. Again, I've never been in a Thai cinema where there is any kind of huge emotion. They all cheered when that happened. Even I was going, yes. But the bit with MJ.
I was in a full cinema, and because it's British cinema, they were like, oh look, Andrew Garfield. That's all we get. We didn't go, yeah, or amazing.
I got it.
It's Andrew Garfield. That's all we got. It's like the person. Oh, I remember the other Spider-Man films. Yeah, that's all we got.
The bit where, I mean, that whole extended scene of MJ figuring out if it's Spider-Man, and then Ned's mum making him clean the freaking corner.
Yeah.
That was comedically brilliant. Really, after that really cutting scene of just losing Aunt May, to have that was really well done. This film was very well constructed, and that was a great bit of relief in what was a very emotional scene, actually, because a lot of people didn't see that coming. I didn't until that line. I didn't see it coming. I just didn't see them killing off May and making her the Uncle Ben character, and the fact that they fucking did it.
That's my problem with the previous 2 Spider-Man. There are no real consequences in it. And this one had consequences in it.
I thought it would be that Tony Stark would be that character, and to a certain extent, he is in the second film, but not really. This had, as you said, consequences, and we need to move on so I can discuss the third act. So,
all right. But we've got the Spider-Man turn up. One of my favorite lines in this is when Ned turns around and goes Peter, and all 3 of them look up. And he goes, Peter Parker. And he goes, we're all called Peter Parker. That gave me a really big guffaw in the cinema. And then it was the bit with they're talking about the web fluid. It's like, I need to top up my web fluid. Yeah, I get the web jams and stuff like that. And Toby's like, it's like, how do you do that? It's just in my wrist. It's like breathing. It just happens. And then they're like, oh, it's like snot.
Yeah, and Garfield goes disgusting like that when he tears it off. That was a very good. But
that was good.
I think when Toby turns up again, it was just like, okay, he does look older. He definitely looks older, but he was still. He nailed it. There was still the Peter Parker that Nigel loves there. But there was this older, wiser. He came back to the part, and somehow he did what that Peter did in Into the Spider-Verse. He was the Peter in the Into the Spider-Verse, a bit less sort of like disillusioned than that Peter. But I don't know. He managed to return to that part and somehow be older and wiser. And okay, he is older than wiser, but he managed to put that into the part, and that totally worked for me. Just totally worked. And the minute, because he didn't look like he had the Spider-Man, I was like, he's gonna suit up. And then he goes, "Have you got your suit?" And then for the first time he does that, you're like, "Oh yeah, he's got the suit. Yeah, he's got the suit."
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to the fight on the Statue of Liberty then. So everything's gone to shit. They're all converging on the Statue of Liberty. They put fucking Captain America's shield on Statue of Liberty, which even I'm like, what?
The first thing about that is, the scene where they're all jumping off the scaffolding, and everybody who said that scene in the trailer, they've digitally removed the other 2 Spider-Men. Yes. Bang on, they had. Bang on. But yeah, I that whole fight, the fact that it starts off with them being very uncoordinated, and then they like Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3, and then they all coordinate up and basically kick the shit out of them all. But it's Tobey Maguire. I suppose before we get to the Spider-Man fight, you have that really emotional talk on the school roof, and Andrew Garfield goes, "I stopped pulling my punches," and you see again. This is why I like a Garfield's Spider-Man. That was real emotion up there. That wasn't him acting. That was real emotion. That was him saying to Sony, "I'm fucked off with you" after the last Spider-Man film. And it all came out there because we know that he had quite a lot. He had a massive falling out with Sony after Spider-Man 2. And it was public. And we know that. He put it all in there. And I was crying. I was crying like a little bitch. I'm not going to lie.
That was... Yeah, that was good. And then they put all their stuff together, and it was like kind of I've already cured the lizard, so that's taken care of. And I've been thinking about fad to fix Norman for years, etc. That then they got, as I said, got to the Statue of Liberty, started fighting, and that was quite good. And then Stephen Strange then turns up after Ned opens up a portal. And then you have the Mary Jane falling off the top.
We said that. We called that last week. We said it was going to be Garfield that saved her. I can't remember which one of us said it, but I know that we said when we saw that scene in the trailer, we went, that isn't going to be Peter. That's going to be Garfield's Peter saving it.
Yeah.
And it was. And again, redemption, right? And then you have Peter, Tom Holland's Peter beat the shit out of the Goblin, and the other Peter comes in and stops him doing it. And he gets his redemption.
Hang on. So you fucking missold that whole scene there.
Why?
Because you have. You've completely missold that scene. You have absolutely done that scene a complete disservice. Yeah, because the Goblin's fucking winding him up all throughout that fight. And it gets to the end, and he's reminded of the fact that he killed Watsamush. So he is all of a sudden that Peter Parker now isn't pulling his fucking punches. And it's funny because the formula that turns Thingy into the Green Goblin is the super soldier formula responsible for Captain America. Yeah, because it brings out that bit in you. And he's beating him and he's properly fucking hammering it, and then decides he's going to kill him. And that's a very Spider-Man thing, because believe it or not, Spider-Man does get annoyed to the point there. He does want to kill people. Yeah, and he picks up the glider, and that's when. But you kind of missed the whole kind of build up to that, because that was just the bit where that was the emotional payoff. That fight there meant more than all the bloody special effects put together because it was more emotional. There was a consequence to it, and without those consequences, that fight doesn't work, and that's
I
quite
agree
important.
with you, but I think that the fact that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man stops him is significant because again.
I know, but you missed out the whole point of how they got there, which was the journey there was him, and it doesn't work because all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 boom. Oh, he stops him, If there's no emotional connection or anything behind it.
Oh, there was. I mean, the acting in that scene and Tom Holland sold it completely.
All right. I think what we need to do now is we need to kind of wrap up because Nigel's been sitting there quietly for a bit. So let's just talk about the very last scene of the film with Venom.
I knew they were going because I saw Venom 2 recently. I saw it recently and I quite enjoyed it. And when I saw because you didn't tell me about the scene at the end. Thank you for that, by the way. That was a nice surprise. And seeing that, I thought he'd been snapped because I thought, okay, he is in the MCU and he'd been snapped, and that explained him being in reappearing in that room and the room all changing around. What I didn't realize was he'd been dragged from another universe and there was no 5-year time jump. But what they've done is they've left behind not Danny Rojas for starters, right?
Yes, Danny Rojas was in there.
Was
the barman. I was looking at his face and going, I know you. It was driving me fucking wild until I got outside.
No.
Danny Rojas.
Yeah, Danny Rojas. Leaving behind that little bit of symbiote, I was like, oh, okay, right, I can see where we're going now. So that was cool.
It was just some of the things. So there's a guy who's big and green and gets angry. You call him the Hulk, and it's like kind of, and you thought Lethal Protector was a shit name. That was great. Okay, we've got a couple of questions from Bilfer, and we'll go from there. So, quick one. He says my favourite is Andrew Garfield because he was tall and slim and fit the role. No, I don't think he did Peter Parker very well. Spider-Man, yes. Should the Oscars nominate Spider-Man for Best Picture? No, because it's full of white people, and they don't want white people winning Oscars anymore. If you didn't get that one, and then, I don't know what's wrong with them. They're going fucking nuts. Will Spider-Man make over $2 billion? I think if it doesn't, it's going to fall very slightly short. It's going to be so close.
I think it would have made over $1 billion if we didn't have the coup already. The fact that it's done 650 in less than a week in the middle of a global pandemic is.
Do you know it's at $1 billion worldwide?
Fucking impressive.
You know it's $1 billion worldwide.
No, it's 650. Is it
no,
$1 billion
it's $1 billion
now?
worldwide as of this morning.
With this open weekend, because we've hit the opening weekend here in Asia. Okay,
yeah.
It could do, but
it hasn't even been released in China yet, mate.
I don't know because
they're allowed to release it in China because.
Yes, I know, but we know that restrictions are going to come without going in down the plate. We know that restrictions are coming in, so we don't know if they're going to shut the cinemas. In theory, it damn well deserves to make $2 billion. It deserves to be Marvel's probably. For me, I think this is near enough my favorite Marvel movie. Certainly my most favorite Marvel movie in a very long while. It deserves to be. It deserves it. Whether it will do it, I don't think it. If it doesn't do it, it'll be down to the coup and nothing else. Because there's people like me that I'm going to go back and watch it a third time. I fucking love this film.
Yeah,
it puts a massive smile on my face.
Was Spider-Man No Way Home better than the Spider-Verse movie? Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, it was. I like the Spider-Verse movie. It was a good movie. I like the way they used the characters and stuff in there, and it worked really well. But there was just more kind of was in this one. But then again, that could have been the whole Spider-Verse movie could have been like a how can I put it, like a preparation to do that. Anyway, we talked about something.
There is rumors of them. Sony is interested in making other Spider-Man movie, and we don't know which Spider-Man is in the Morbius movie yet. It could be that it
looks like Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
It could be Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but we don't know because there's room
in the background.
All three of them have indicated. I mean, Tom Holland is umming and ahhing, but the other two have very much shown interest in playing Spider-Man again, and things seem to be rosy between Andrew Garfield. Maybe because he got his closure in this movie, but the fact that the reactions to him has been great. And by one more thing, I loved how they used all of their theme tunes. But did you notice they used the theme tune for Andrew Garfield from the first movie? Because one of my biggest bugbears was they changed the damn theme in the second movie, and the music in the second movie was shit. That's why it failed. Shit music, nothing else. But shit.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's wave at Nigel now, and we'll talk about the Matrix. He's like, oh, finally, after sitting here for 30 minutes without having to say a word.
So it was a really shit movie. Oh, sorry, Nigel.
Okay, so The Matrix, the made-for-TV movie, The Matrix Resuscitation. Yes, it's a film. Right, a friend of ours called Bapster texted me because, have you seen the Matrix film? And I went, no, but I've booked tickets to go and see it at 11 o'clock, so I'll get back to you. And my reply to him was, well, that was a film. It's terrible. It's I almost fell asleep 3 times in that film.
I spent the first 40 minutes. I was talking to Nigel about this last week. It drags at the beginning. The first problem I have is I got to the point where I'm fed up with this. What is this? What are they doing? This is what the fuck. And it wasn't a good what the fuck. It was I think it was when they had a go at Warner Brothers Studios, and that felt like, okay, that's a reason. That's there for a reason. That is the Wachowski, whatever her name is, having a go at Warner Brothers. And it was there. It was there for a reason. that was my first issue with it. There are little things in it I liked, right? And there are things that could have made this movie so much more interesting. First off, why the fuck did you bring back Mrs. Will Smith? She cannot act for shit. Had they made that character Morpheus, if they made that old Morpheus, that would have been interesting. That would him turning into wanting to protect Io and not
everyone knows that Jada Pinkett Smith's not got much work on at the moment, yeah, and you can get her for days filming for about 500 quid. Yeah, so that was probably a day's worth of filming there, and they probably gave her 500 quid. It's right. So, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of bits in this movie that's just absolutely pointless. One, I think that despite being transgender and whatnot, I think that Lana Wachowski believes that there's only two genders. Hence the name of the game that they're working on, Binary. I think that was like a fucking million genders my ass. I think that was a subtle poke at that. I think there's a lot of. I think it's one of those films that you can go. If you get and go back and watch, you'll find lots of little things in there. The Agent Smith character was shit.
Yes.
Yeah. He did. Why could you not get Hugo Weaving in, even for a fucking voiceover? Yeah. If you turn away from the character and you heard Hugo Weaving's voice and then you turned back at the character, that would have given it a bit more gravitas. Dude, he was so shit. And then he just turns up at the end and says, I'm going to shoot the bad guy for you. Bang, bang. I'm off. Bye. Okay. Swarm mode. Yeah. The one interesting thing about the film makes no fucking sense. All right. So I'm not talking about any structure because it's just going to be a fucking incoherent train of thought. So swarm mode is the system can hijack all the people attached to it, and then they can then kill or destroy whatever problem there is. Yeah. Okay. Now, the machines have stated that they didn't have enough humans to keep everything powered up when they had their peace treaty, and that's one of the reasons the machines then turned around and attacked each other and did the shit that they did and recreated the Matrix. Okay, we get that. So swarm mode, you can lose thousands of units or batteries or whatever you want to call them at a time.
Do they lose them, but do they just take over them? Because when agents took over people, they hijacked them. They didn't,
and they died, and that's why they were limited to having only 3 agents. Yeah, because the 3 agents couldn't do that much damage.
Was that a line in the film? I don't remember that. I don't remember.
What do you mean?
When it hijacks them, I thought it.
Of course, they die. If you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. But what
the swarm? When they're dying.
When you kill them, if you perforate them into
I'm
the
being
Matrix,
stupid because I'm thinking when the agent takes over them, if the agent then doesn't take it, leaves them, they don't die. It's when they
don't die. It's when
when they're jumping out of buildings and you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So what was what? Okay, it was interesting. Yeah, the other thing too. Yeah, Neo never held a gun. It was just all this time. It was like it's like you could have given him a gun. The problem is everyone had gone, "This John Wick," because all he was doing is this. He was doing that all the way through the film, and it was just like, this is fucking Neo. It's like, and then the blue pill and the can't get it up joke that was in there. It takes the blue pill, he can't fly. I can't get it up. Yeah. What the fuck? It was just and right. Hang on a second. Let me just because I talked about it before we started. Yeah, the bit in the cinema that made me laugh the hardest, and I don't know if it was supposed to be a joke, is when Morpheus comes out of a fucking toilet stall like a turd goblin in an orange suit and goes, "Here you go, red blue pill." No context or anything. Red blue pill. Come on. Who the fuck are you? We've come out of the toilet. You come out of the toilet like some animated turd. Yeah, don't. I'm not taking anything from you. There's a chance you'll bugger me. Yeah. And then that was that. Then there's Jessica Henwick, who I know you like.
It's not that I like. I don't think she's as bad as you make out she is. I thought she was okay in this.
The thing
her
that got
character
me
wasn't
is
particularly.
Is she's a local girl?
Yeah.
She's a local girl. She's from around this area. And I'm just like, because I heard a voice, and I was like, it's a good accent. Sorry.
So's Tom Holland, and so's
Tom
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. Yes, we've had this conversation. Guildford and Kingston, respectively. She's somewhere in North Surrey. I can't remember where Jessica Henwick's from. But again, because I listened to her accent, I went, "That's a pretty good accent for an American," and I was like, "She's not American." I just literally put in front of me. She ain't fucking American, is she? And I was like, "No, because it sounds like my regional accent. That's why." But Bugs, she wasn't as irritating as I thought she'd be. The crew. Remember the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar? You had Mouse, Switch, APOC, Dozer, Tank, all those people. Yeah, they all had proper names, and these people are dude from Stargate Universe and Pert Girl with really shit hair.
But those two were both in Sense8.
Were both of them in Sense8? I know the dude was from Sense8, but I didn't know
the weird hair one was this Spanish one that hanging around with the two gay guys.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, I made that connection. I went, hang on, it's off the fucking cast of Sense8.
I can't. I was just like, but I didn't know who they were. Yeah, there was like they spent all this time. Names. They spent like a fucking hour, and they could have spent 10 minutes setting these characters up, and then they didn't even bother killing any of them. That's the bit that got me. I could have killed some of them, and you know.
What annoys me about this film is it could have been so much better had they written it. I think it could have been. I think
right. The only way you can the only way you can do another Matrix film, is to go back to another version of the Matrix without Neo and Trinity. Yeah, go back to see the one that did in the Animatrix. We had the future Japan where you're getting chased around by werewolves. Do that. Yeah, you can have that as the Matrix because that would be really interesting. Because all of a sudden you think you're watching a samurai film, and then it's like kind of touches a tree or something, and then out into the real world, and you're like, "Fuck, what happened there?" You know, that would have been.
I don't know. You could have explored bringing back Neo and Trinity, but I think there's just so many things here that you could have done that would have made it interesting. As I said, having Morpheus as the leader of Io, an old Morpheus who's become a bit sort of like, you know, jaded and wanted to keep safe rather than fighting the machines. That would have been interesting. Having him lock up Neo like that would have been a far more interesting dynamic in the movie. That would have made me gone, okay, this has got interesting, right? You could have had 20 minutes of what the fuck bullshit at the beginning, then got into the movie and gone, okay, right? Not 40 fucking minutes of it, me going, okay, is this taking the piss? Because, I mean, there are several top points where they take the piss out of the other movies, saying how bad they were. It was so meta, and they were so hell-bent on being meta that it got silly. And, you know, they knew the other two movies were shit, and they decided to take the piss out of that fact. Which, to me, was, why do you do that? Why, you know, that didn't work. That annoyed me, actually. But when we got into the real machine world and the fact that the machines ended up having a civil war, again, that was an interesting concept. And having machines fall on the side of the humans was an interesting concept. And watching people interact with some machines in Io, again, was an interesting... There were so many things in this that could have been interesting and explored. I didn't like a depowered Neo. I didn't like Damp Squid Neo and the whole Trinity being the key to everything bullshit, because that's what it was. And Trinity flying and saving Neo. Again, you know, that was typical Hollywood bullshit. That was depowering a man to elevate a woman.
I think it kind of gave a weird message, and the message is that men and women need each other. That's kind of the
I hope that's what it is, but that's didn't, again, because I'm so scarred by Hollywood.
Right, hang on a second. If it is as if it is them taking the piss out of fucking Warner Brothers and whatnot for wanting another film or whatever, then that probably is the message. Yeah, because they said that was written after the Wachowskis' parents died. Yeah. So that could have that could be the message. I don't know. I'm leaning on this as a troll. I think this is a fucking troll. I think that there's enough in there. I think if you go back and watch the film and you pause it, you're going to find lots of little trolly bits where they're taking the piss out of the people who like it. Again, you had that meeting where they were talking about what makes the Matrix. Yeah. And that felt really trolly. Annoying. Again. Neil Patrick Harris's character. If that was Hugo Weaving, would I feel different? Yes, I would. Yeah, that would have been so much fucking better if it was Hugo Weaving. If it would have been another actor. Let's think of another actor. It was fucking Brian Blessed. Awesome, actually. That would have been awesome. Could you just imagine that?
Neo's alive!
Liquid ass! Yeah, so I don't know, because the Neil Patrick Harris character, I don't think he had any real fucking meat to the character, if that made any sense.
No, he's meant to be the new
architect. For me, I can summarize this as follows, yeah? A man has an argument with his therapist in a coffee shop. That's the Matrix. He literally has an argument with the that's all it is. You can literally compress it down to that. And I'm just like, yeah.
It was right. No, it just wasn't good. But the thing was, it was irritatingly not good because it could have been. There were concepts in there that could have made it a very interesting thing indeed, and made it to me, the two other Matrix films, there are great moments in those films, but they are, as films, not good. And The Matrix is a very important film in my life in many ways, and I watched that film many times over, and it is a really, really thought-provoking, mind-bending piece of cinema that did a lot. And the minute that sort of green Warner Brothers logo came off and you got the music and you zoom in, I did get like this nostalgia. And it's like, Jesus Christ, it was 20 odd years ago that me and my mate Gaz were sitting in a fucking cinema watching this film. And I remember the thoughts I had then. And I think that's why I got so annoyed, because it's almost like they were taking the piss out of me for liking that film. Right. In the first 40 minutes. And it's like, no, I loved that film. I love the Animatrix because the Animatrix expanded on that world and had some very interesting things. And this movie could have done that like the other two didn't, right? That's the annoying thing. It could have done it, but they fucked it up. But I'm casting Mrs. Will Smith. That annoyed me.
Oh dear.
I'm not going to break my microphone, but that annoyed me.
Yes, my dad laughed at that. He said he watched the podcast, and he goes, is it true that Keith blew his mic out while yelling at? Yes, it was.
Bring out that fucking book.
Didn't realize he'd done it until then, and my dad was like, "Kind of what a pleb." Okay, so out of 10, right? So we've talked about Spider-Man. Out of 10, I would probably give it an 8, bordering on 9. I have to wait until all the kind of hype has died down to make sure I've got the right feelings. But at the moment, it'll probably be a 9. Yeah, for Spider-Man. What would you say? 9's at the
You know what I'm going to say? I'm giving it 10 out of 10. I fucking loved it.
10 out of 10.
Okay. Look, for me, look, I get why you're giving it an 8 or a 9. I get it complete, and I respect it. I'm not going to argue it. For me, it was 10 out of 10 because it fixed everything that I had wrong with the other movies. And I don't know, I just can't. It has put a smile on my face like no movie has done for a very long while. And for that alone, 10 out of 10. It was the perfect beginning to a really lovely little Christmas. And genuinely, I came out of that cinema buzzing, having watched that film. It was an emotional roller coaster, and I was buzzing, and I was just like, this is why I'm a Spider-Man fan. I love this character, and they did that character justice in this film. They haven't done. And the possibilities of where that's going to go is really good. And I love the ending. The ending, I love seeing that because again, I became a Spider-Man fan because of the comics, and there is a lovely little nod to the comic fans. So,
yes. So my brother's changing his mind on the score as we speak. As I said, I'm going to wait just to step back from it to make sure I've got kind of My head's screwed on, so I've got a correct.
I agree with Duncan. It did. It made all of them better. It fixed
but
all the problems.
That might be the problem with it, is that it's dependent on the other films. To take it apart as just a singular bit on its own.
But Tom Holland's performance in this movie is just awesome, and he has a, there are people that argued that he didn't have the right to be Spider-Man. At the end of this film, he is Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, now
some people have said. Some people have said
now he's done some sacrificing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, can we talk about the Expanse now?
Yes. Can you right? You made a comment to me on WhatsApp the other day that there's a twist at the end. What's the twist? Because I didn't quite get what you meant.
They have a Laconian battleship, not a Martian battleship, a Laconian proto-molecule altered battleship, which I'm sure they don't have in the book. Which they're kind of, if they're doing it right, it's because they want to set up the next three seasons, which are not going to happen for another 10 years. So you get to the end of the thingy, and Marco Naros, after having the Pella decked for all intents and purposes, not destroyed but fucked. Do you want to hear something funny about the Pella?
Go on.
Do you want me to tell you something funny about the Pella? The Pella was the original design for the Rocinante.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a great thing from something shipyards or something on YouTube where they're talking to the designer and he's going through all the designs, and they were stuck between the current Rocinante one and the Pella, which they wanted, and they picked the current Rocinante one. It was great the way it was kicking the shit out of them at a distance.
Okay, this episode carried the story on a bit, but Gareth, this doesn't feel like a 6-episode season. It just doesn't. I'm just scared that they're going to rush it at the end because it's
okay. Right? Can you recall what happens in the books?
I roughly know what happens. I'm going
recall
through them again.
Seriously, go recall what happens in the book for Babylon Ashes. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, on the grand scheme stuff, plot wise, more character stuff happens in the books than it does plot wise. So the big things are. Marcus Anaris starts fucking over the belt, which he's already done. He did it with Palace Station, though. He didn't do it with Ceres. And then he did it with Ceres Station, but they've just done it, so he's just done it with Ceres Station. So he then turns the belt against them. So the pirate fleet, which were Ashford's lot, then go against Marcos. So then he gets separated that way. And the Dutchman thing, put Naomi on fixing that problem, which she does. Because she figures out if enough mass at a certain time goes through the rings, something gets eaten, which is fantastic because we reach that conclusion. And then the fact that they have had an encounter with Marcos. But I think, if I remember correctly in the story, the Martians are following the Rocinante. So when they get attacked by the Free Navy, which didn't have Marcos at the time chasing them, so they changed that around. They get the Martians turn up and help them out because they saved the Martian Prime Minister, which they cut out from the previous one because of Alex, which was annoying. So they had like that whole thing. I think they can wrap it up. I think that's fine. I think it's gonna work out because you have to remember you kind of see it from like last season to this season, and it's had some great action in there.
Yeah, okay. Marcus got his nose blooded in this, but it's not enough. You need. I mean, I'm not going to get annoyed, but I'm going to mention Joffrey's death in Game of Thrones. That was built up, right? We knew it was going to happen, but they teased that for a few episodes, and they built that. They beautifully constructed that to the point where he does get it. It's unbelievably satisfying, but it wasn't rushed, right? Right now. Marcus is still very powerful. He has to have his downfall. You have to see him hurt before he dies. Because
you've already seen him hurt. You've seen him hurt.
Not really.
Oh, no. He knew he was fucked.
Yeah, but he's still walking around fucking.
Everyone knew that.
He got that one moment where you think, but you knew he wasn't going to die because you saw what's his face through that, and you knew that what's his face would chicken out. So, and he did. But he knew. And after that, he was walking around like Johnny Big Bollocks again, right? He has to have that disgrace before he gets eaten, right? So
he's gonna have a bit where he thinks he's unstoppable when he gets hold of this. I don't know if he's gonna be a gathering storm or something along those lines, which is one of the Laconian destroyers. He gets hold of one of these Laconian destroyers, yeah, and that's the bit where he thinks he's going to be unstoppable, yeah, and that's when they're going to get him, and that's when you're going to find he's going to get it in the worst possible way. Go too fast into the room, and the room eats you, and it's literally going to find out what that means. It's going to be fucking awesome. Yeah,
I hope
think
so. Look, don't get me wrong. I've really enjoyed this season. I've liked the story on Laconia. I think they've done that well. I genuinely enjoyed this episode. I love Bobby coming in and sort of jumping on the weapon station and really fucking giving Marcus a bloody nose. That was quite good. I liked the son standing up to him and saying, "No, that was you being a dickhead," basically, which it was. And I liked the sowing the seeds there. Look, don't get me wrong, this season is back to being top quality Expanse again. Not enough Avocera going fuck. I need more Avocera swearing.
She feels like the thing is, she feels like she knows what she's doing. When she talks about stuff, you feel that she knows what she's doing and she's got it all in hand. And it's a case of, I think she's going to win us the war. That's the way she comes across. So I think that's good. I
liked her sort of tip off of the journalist, when she says when the journalist is gone, she didn't want to watch her, and that was good. No, I look, don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy it. It was very good. I want more of it. I just don't think it has the pace of a 6th season at the moment. Now, look, by the 4th episode, it might speed things up, and things were beginning to speed up.
But the thing is, Keith, if you read the books, what are you expecting to happen?
I don't know. I just there seems to be quite a lot of bows that need to be tied up, and I suppose
what bows that need to be tied up? Tell me.
Well, knowing that this is going to be the final season, or could be the final season.
No, not that. What bows need to be tied up? We know that the Going Dutchman bow is going to get tied up towards the end. Yeah.
Well, you've got the buildings of something on Laconia, and we've barely seen it. So are they going to tie up the whole Laconia story or not?
No, they're not. That's the 3 other books as that. So don't expect that to happen in this one.
But they haven't said it's coming back. They've said this is the final season. So
on Amazon, and they've done that specifically. It's the final season on Amazon. Yeah. So I think they can tie it all up. The only thing they've got to do is they've got to have a massive fucking fleet battle between the Free Navy and the Inners, and then the what's it got to tie.
Yeah,
that's one thing.
Do you know the Midway 3 season 3? You had that first 5 or 6 episodes, right? And it was this build up to that mid-season episode that was just all epic.
The end of book 2.
But you had a 4 to 5 episode build up to that, right? This feels still like we're in like episode 1 of that kind of epic build up.
I don't think you're understanding what's going on, Keith.
It's not that I don't understand what's going on. It's the fact that it doesn't feel like they're moving at a pace where they're going to tie things up in a set. That's what it just feels slow, right? That's not a criticism. If this was a 10 episode season, it would absolutely make sense. The pace of it. It's the pace of it. Watching Game of Thrones,
right?
I know.
Don't compare it to Game of Thrones.
No, but I'm
comparing. Those books are finished.
I'm comparing it. I'm not comparing the ending. I'm comparing how they did things. Each season of The Expanse has been 10 episodes, right? We've had 10 episode seasons, with the exception of season 3, where you finished one book and took on another book, right? And it did feel kind of odd, that break in the season where you had this epic first half of the season, then quite a few slow episodes to the build up of. They basically did a book in half a season, right? Here the pace.
Which worked.
It doesn't feel frantic enough to the fact that we've only got 3 episodes left. It feels like they are stretching things out a bit. That's what it feels like. It feels like we're not going to see. It feels like a 10 episode season. I don't know how else to explain it to you. It's not that I don't understand. It's the pace of it. It just
Right.
it's moving at a steady pace.
Hold on. Is it because this is filmed under COOF restrictions? Is it because of that? That's the feeling you're getting from it? Because
I think it is, and I feel
it feels a bit more
that
isolated from each other than it would normally.
I don't know. I just worry that we're going to get to the final episode and they're going to try and tie everything up in 44 minutes. You know, it's suddenly going to go it's going to go from this pace to a really quick pace in the last episode. Does that make sense? It feels like they're going to suddenly speed it up and try and tie off everything. It feels like what happened at the end of Lost in Space, where the COOF effect, because you know that Lost in Space season 3 was a 10-season episode that they cut to 8 episodes and had to kind of fucking tie things up. And I'm worried that they're going to do the same. That the same thing is happening here. That this part of the season that we're watching now was intended to be a 10-episode season, right? And that's why the pace feels like it does right now. And then all of a sudden we're going to tie up all the thing, because that's what happened in Lost in Space. If I can criticize Lost in Space season 3, those final 2 episodes are rushed. The whole thing. I think there was a 4-episode arc on Alpha Centauri that they condensed into 2.
Okay,
because of the COOF, and that's what I'm worried about.
I think it's going roughly the same pace.
I hope you're right, but that's
I think what you're feeling is the COOF effect.
Maybe.
Yeah, where you've not got. It doesn't feel as big as it should do. That series set is fantastic, which then blew up this week. I love the way that you had the UN guy and the Belter guy, and the UN guy's trying to be nice, and the Martian fella, and the Martian fella's being an arsehole. He's like, no, he's trying to be friendly here, and he's trying to talk to him in Belter and whatnot. I think we'll wait. I think it's going to stick the landing. I think that it's one of those things. Like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Don't worry. It's going to be
fingers
fine.
crossed. Fingers crossed. I mean,
right.
that was what. Yeah, go on.
No, you go. Keep going.
No, I was just. I am enjoying it. I am loving it, and it is back to the quality it was, before 4 episodes of knowing me on a ship. Crap. So
that I don't think that had anything to do with scripting or anything. I think that was because they had to redo the whole Kaz Anvar story because of his things,
why
and
it
then
happened.
the whole Holden bit with Fred Johnson was refilmed.
You could be absolutely right, but all I will say is that it now feels back to a quality that is interesting. And I will reiterate, Marcus Anaros has to die.
He's great. I love him as a bad guy. I really want to punch him. The actor does such a good. He's such a good slimy bastard. The actor is just spot on for the character, and the casting for Philip. He looks like he could be Naomi's son. He really looks like he could be Naomi's son. It's like that dude. The casting spot on, and it's gonna be interesting. Anyway, I want to talk tonight about Halo Infinite before we go, because I played Halo Infinite and I completed it. And it was as a game single player. This is not multiplayer because I don't like Halo multiplayer. I like this. I like that. I like the single player. I think I liked 4 more than anything else. But I played the latest one, Halo Infinite, and it was interesting. I didn't appreciate that they turned Cortana into a children's TV presenter, because she's a children's TV presenter now. That's what she comes across as. Oh, look, I found the letter A. Yeah, she was like that in places, and it was a bit irritating. Where the other one was like, kind of, dude, we'll shag when this is all over. She always had that tone in her voice. When this is finished, we'll go and get some sex, yeah? And wait, hang on a second, on a computer, how to do that? Don't worry about it, just keep fighting. And it was, it did do, how can I put it, Halo Far Cry, where it was like they had the map, and it worried me because the first position on the map I was told to investigate was a place called The Tower, and I'm like, am I going to have to climb up towers to find locations like I do in fucking Far Cry? Not a million miles away. But yeah, it was that. And I'd just like to point out, forward operating bases are referred to as FOBs, not FOBs, because you want to be able to tell the difference between that and a fucking USB drive. And if you want a game that tells you how fucking FOBs work, play Metal Gear Phantom Pain, because they have FOBs in that. Which I really irritate me. We've got a fob. It's like, no. It's an FOB. It's a forward operating base. Yeah, it's initials, right? Military initials. Not you don't turn it into stupid. That drove me wild every time I took one. It was like, I did like the high value target things. We had to take out guys of high value targets, apart from the 2 twin hunters that were like up on some shelf somewhere, which pissed me right off. So I just took them apart using distance bits. But it was all right. I had the coof at the time, I'll be honest with you, and I was playing this off and on in like 30-minute spats, so it was probably a bit easier on me. But it was how I felt the original Halo should play, minus a strategical element in it, because I was expecting you take the forward operating bases and then your guys would then march on a certain area and then you take over an area and then you'd have no bad guys in that area. And that's how what the original Halo should play, because the original Halo suffers from really poor level design. And it's and you don't believe me, go back and play it. And then after, it's like kind of it pisses me off. It's like the silent cartography, that's a shit level. Yeah, it's like kind of it's like on a beach like D-Day and whatnot. And it goes, no, go play fucking Call of Duty, or what was the bloody EA one they used to do? Medal of Honor fucking D-Day thing. That was a proper fucking D-Day thing. It was just like it wasn't D-Day, it was just a load of grunts on a beach. That's what it's been called, grunts on a beach. But they call it the silent cartographer and everyone fucking spooges over it. And I think it's one of the fucking worst designed levels that people take. And it had some bad level design on this, and it was every time you got inside. And yeah, actually saying that, it's bad level design because the first forward operating base you get a little mongoose thing to drive around. The way it's set out, you can drive it around the base and nowhere else. That's how well they thought through the level design on it. And that's the reason you have the hook. Yeah, it's because there's bits that you cannot traverse on foot because the level design is so poor, they had to put the hook in place. The hook is great fun. I will say that as a game element, I had great fun using the hook, just twatting things. Best way of taking care of the jackals, because we always get annoyed with the jackals and they've got the sodding shields, yeah. And I always just use grenades on the jackals because it's just the quickest way of doing it. But if you harpoon them, unlike you can in other games where you'd expect to rip the shield from them, yeah. So you'd harpoon them, get the shield and rip it away from them, and then beat the shit out of them. It just kind of staggers them a bit, and then you can shoot it. Yeah. So sorry, Naito, what did you think?
Well, I've only played it up to where I get the weapon, which is that Cortana replacement thing. And I got to there and haven't had the inclination to actually start it back up and carry on playing it.
So you haven't even got into the main game. You're still in the tutorial section.
Yeah, and it hasn't gripped me. Unfortunately, if a game doesn't grip you in the first half hour to an hour, is it worth it? Is it poor design? It may look great, and it sort of does, but it hasn't. I might go back to it and give it another go, but I got to that bit and I was just bored.
Get to the map bit where it plays like Far Cry and try that. Yeah, and then that's the game is the Far Cry bit.
So I don't know how much further I got. I mean, I got to the weapon, and then I now need to go and get out, or I think I've started to go out, and I just don't know. It was literally pick a weapon up, shoot some shit, pick another weapon up, shoot some shit, get some ammo, shoot some shit. I know that's most FPSs, but it didn't seem to have much substance to it at all.
Yeah. I've reached a conclusion. The reason I didn't like Xbox is because I didn't like fucking Halo. And
I've never liked Halo. I've never liked it. Even I played number 1, and it was awful when it first came out. Rubbish.
The thing that gets me is you don't. This is the thing. It's like if you I was comparing it to Far Cry, yeah. So in Far Cry, you get a knife, you can run up to people, you can stab them, throw fucking daggers at them, pull the pins on the grenades, kick them away, that sort of thing. Release wild animals and stuff and get them killed. Yeah. You don't. I throughout the game never felt dangerous. That's the thing. That's the Halo's biggest problem. I never felt dangerous. I never felt like I could. It's like if you play Gears of War, Yeah, you know that if you get someone with a fucking the lancer and you cut them in half, you feel fucking dangerous. Yeah, that bastard. As soon as you rev that chainsaw up and you're nearby, it's game over for them. They are screwed. Yeah, and you feel properly dangerous. Yeah, and then it's like kind of there's a sniper rifle on that, and you shoot them in the head, and because of the way the head explodes and it goes up like a cantaloupe, you feel dangerous. Yeah, in Halo, you never feel dangerous because the weapons
they don't feel like guns.
Yeah, they do. It's like you have to discharge an entire clip at a brute to get him to go down. And I've got a video of where the pistol. Why the fuck is the pistol a better weapon than the fucking rifle?
Yeah, there was a. I basically dumped the pistol thing that I started with, or the gun that I started with, and went with. There were the brutes. It's like got a 6-shot, almost like a shotgun.
Oh,
pistol
that's crap. The Mangler sort of thing. Yeah,
and that. It's like a revolver. It looks like a revolver thing
with like 12 chambers.
Yeah, and that was better than the auto rifle, and also because you kill them in two shots, whereas my rifle, entire clip, and they sort of go down to their knee and then get back up again. You go, huh? Am I shooting Nerf gun? You know, it's not doing anything, and you ditch the marine weapons, whatever, and you go for the alien weapons, which seem to be slightly better. I don't know if they are. The needler. I tried the needler. The needler is rubbish. I didn't like needler.
The needler shit. The carbine thing they've got isn't a carbine.
Yeah, there's a carbine thing. It's done a percentage thingy.
It's not very good.
No. Weapons.
The one that you've got, the one you're talking about, the pistol is quite good if you go headshots.
Yeah. Well, that's me.
The sniper rifle, the human sniper rifle, the commando rifle, and the bulldog shotgun are the 3 ones that I used all the way through. And then there's a pistol which works. And I've got a video of me, and I walk into a room and I literally just I take everyone down with a headshot. I literally just go bang 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 like that and take it down headshot. It's really cool. I've got to upload it to Instagram when I get a chance. Yeah. And I nail the bad guys. And
I think for me it comes down to the weapons that I don't like, and that's why I don't like playing it that much, because it doesn't feel like a shooter. Back when I first played Halo, the first Halo, I got it on PC. I didn't have an Xbox back then, but I got it on PC, and I was used to playing Counter-Strike,
yeah,
and proper shooters. And where it actually felt like when you shot something, you were doing damage. That's what it felt like. Now, I had played Halo on the same PC, and you're shooting these little grunt things, and it just felt like the reticle was about half the screen. Well, it was massive, and you felt like you weren't actually hitting the things, and it was so wishy-washy, and they haven't improved the gunplay since then to now. It still feels wishy-washy. It feels like you're not actually hitting things. Yeah, you kill them. Yeah, like I said, the only gun that was worth its salt was that one pistol I found. And that's the only reason why I carried on through the levels. I just made sure I got that gun that was dropped off the brutes and killing the brutes and refilling the ammo. And when I got something else, then, Jesus, it made it really hard, because they're watered down water pistols. It's awful. And that's why I haven't gone very far in the game.
It's like if you play like Killzone, or if you play Killzone on the PS3, when you got into a fight with the Hellghast, they literally, whole body was covered in armor. You couldn't see their faces because it was covered in armor. Yeah. So you'd shoot them, and then bits of armor would fly off, and then they would make them vulnerable to a shot. So you'd like shoot the fucking hat off, and then shoot the brains out, and it'd be like, and then they go fall over, which kind of made sense and whatnot. But you don't feel dangerous. That's my biggest problem with it, and I think that's my problem with the biggest. That's why I like 4 actually, because 4 you did feel a little dangerous when you were fighting the I can't remember what the weird construct things that they were, but on this it was no. And I'm not being rude or anything. No, actually I'm being rude. They need to get rid of the fucking grunts, yeah, because it makes your game come across as stupid. Yeah, you might as well replace them with Ewoks. It would actually be more satisfying to shoot Ewoks. Yeah, giant fucking teddy bears, because it's just like, what's the point?
And then they run out in the thing going like this, and you go, what?
And
they're not even hiding behind. They just stand in the middle.
You want me to take you seriously? Ow! This is kiddie shit. Go away. I think they need to get rid of the fucking. That's the thing. Make the guns feel dangerous. Yeah, make them feel like kind of when you fire an assault rifle at someone. I want to see that kind of. You do get a bit of Ribena when you shoot the brutes in the head, and that's about it. And it's just, man, it's annoying because
if they got rid of those little things, those little grunty things, little ones that with they look like gnomes with pointy hats.
Yeah.
If you got rid of them, more bigger brutey things in a level, so you pack out the level with a bit more, but made the guns feel like they do more damage, you would feel more dangerous because you're taking out more.
Or hang on a second, I've got a spoiler warning, Nige. Yeah, in the game, yeah, they hint at a bigger, badder, scarier enemy. Yeah, do you get to see that enemy?
Hang on, is that the fella with the beard that chucks you off at the very start?
No, there's another character in it called the Harbinger, and the Harbinger is supposed to be I don't know, the Sleepless or whatever they're called. Actually, the Sleepless sound like a better fucking enemy name. Anyway, they're supposed to be in it, and they hint at this big bad guy, and you're expecting, oh, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be, I'm going to get to the end of the game. They're going to release these things. It's a big fight, blow something up, and then take another chunk of fucking Zeta Halo out. And no, it doesn't happen, and which is a fucking letdown. I'm sorry, you keep hinting at these things, and it doesn't happen. And
don't worry, it'll be sold to you in DLC.
Oh no, well, I don't know. I just.
If they do it the EA way,
I don't know if they'll do this the EA way because it's just the part that one of the things that's supposed to get people onto the Games Pass. But Gears of War's better. I like Gears of War. I actually do like Gears of War.
If I ever get back on my my Xbox, then I'll definitely give it a little bit more of a play.
Just get to the bit where you're on the map and go around on the map, and when you take over that first operating base, and you go, great, I've got a vehicle, and you go out in the vehicle, and you're like, I can't go anywhere. I can drive around the base on my little mongoose. That's not fun. And that's just dumb. That's just shit level design. And Halo's always had shit level design. And it was one of the biggest complaints. They had to put fucking arrows on it. And I remember playing one of the first games, and I got lost in the building. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? And then you had the bit where it went, oh, we know what we're going to do. We're just going to repeat the levels, just change them up a bit. Towards the end of the first game, and I'm just like, no. They need to.
No, I think the first game, I think I played 30 minutes of it, and I got so frustrated with how shit the game was, and those little gnomey things everywhere, and how poor the gunplay was, and how bad this reticule accuracy was. I just quit, uninstalled it, never went back to it again.
Yeah.
Never. Until now.
Yeah, it's I think Halo's the reason I don't like the Xbox. It's the bit that really puts me off of it, because everyone goes, oh, this is great, this is the greatest game ever, and you play it and you're like, kind of, this is why Call of Duty is fucking king, followed by Battlefield. That's the long and the short of it. It's because you guys that haven't aged up the game. You need to age up the game.
It doesn't,
and I find it annoying. Do you know what I find personally annoying? And this is the bit that gets me. And this is where we wander into nerd territory. You have characters from games, and they've got like verses. Yeah, so you've got the Warhammer Space Marines versus the Spartans from fucking Halo. Yeah, and people are talking. It's like kind of the Space Marines couldn't get taken on, could get beaten by the guys from Halo. No, they couldn't. They fire like fucking little tiny tank shells at people. They were born for war. They've got fucking organ redundancy. So if you did manage to penetrate the armor and get a bullet through, they've got a spare one of whatever you've shot. Yeah, so they can carry on, and they could probably rip you apart by hand and take you apart with a fucking chainsaw. And it's just because I get really annoyed at that, because it's like kind of, dude, no, the Halo Space Marines are shit. And the other thing too is I got a video of where I called in a Scorpion tank in one of the forward operating bases, and the characters, the fucking characters, have all moved onto the spot where the tank's going to get dropped, and they all got crushed by the tank. And I was going to put the video up. I'm sure we're not losing the war against the Covenant because of our very bright soldiers that we've employed. Because I don't know. I think it's the reason I was never great on Xbox is because of that. And I think it's when I played it on the PC, because I played the Halo original on the PC, completed in about 6.5 hours, and there was absolutely no fucking challenge.
How long did this game take you to finish?
About 12 hours, but I was playing it off and on because I wasn't feeling well. I was stuck with it. And that's the other thing too. Like Metal Gear Solid 3, which I associate with having really bad bronchitis. So I do not like Metal Gear Solid 3 because that reminds me of a very painful time in my life. This is associated with a cough. So I had slightly flu-y symptoms and I was wrapped up in bed with a flu of sorts. So I associate that with, so that's Halo Infinite is Halo cough to me. So yes. I don't like Halo. I'm sorry. I think it's shit. No, I don't think it's shit. I know it's shit. I'm sorry. I could prove it with pie charts if you really want. Anyway, Keith, I know that. Well, so you haven't played. What was the last Halo game you played? 4. Did you like 4?
No.
You didn't like 4?
I don't. Did I like 4? 4 was okay. The story was different. You had that different alien race from what I remember. It's a good few years ago now.
About 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, I had it on the 360. Obviously, I don't have any next-gen console, and it's through no amount of trying. Yeah.
There's a joke about PS5, but Keith wouldn't get it.
I did see, I have to say, I know that Nige doesn't like this. I am seriously impressed by that Matrix graphics on the PS5. I mean, I saw that at a game shop the other day. Sorry, the Unreal thing.
It was on Xbox.
It's on PS5.
It might be on everything because it was an Unreal.
Both. I tried it on the Xbox Series X.
I saw it running on a PS5.
No. I didn't say the graphics were bad. I thought the graphics was quite good and it was fluid. And I went to the tallest tower right to the top and had a little sweep around to see if there was any lag and stuff like that. And it worked beautifully. However, when I got
it makes me want a PS5.
And tried to drive it, it was trash.
I'm not talking about the game. I'm not talking about the gameplay, but graphically, it's beautiful.
Yeah, graphically,
really that is the first time I would say I've seen proper next gen graphics.
I actually say the graphic. I played it, and I think the graphics were that fucking good in comparison.
But you played it on an Xbox. So I saw it on a PS5, sitting on a table on a 4K TV, and it looked fucking. I had to double take and realize it was graphics and not real.
Well, no, because it's a mixture of Keanu Reeves and graphics. You can tell.
No, this was actually in the gameplay, but he was driving a car. And I thought, Jesus, can you imagine what GTA 6 is going to be? If they can get that look in GTA 6, that's going to be something to behold.
Mm.
And we know they're working on GTA 6. It might be a couple of years away, but we know it's happening.
Yeah. All right. I think we've got to the 1:30 mark, and we've done some gaming, and we've done our film bits, and we've reached the conclusion the following: Spider-Man, it's really good. Expanse, we're hoping it sticks the ending. Halo, no. Halo, no. And Matrix, for fuck's sake, don't watch it. Do not watch it. Do not. So, it's goodbye from me.
Bye-bye.
It's goodbye from me.
We'll catch you in the next podcast. Don't watch The Matrix. It's rubbish.